Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Anman, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Hey, good morning. I thought I was going to trick you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a mean person.
Mike and Gal are probably going to be here in a few. Spence is still in Alaska. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is being brought to you by vMix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear.
You been drinking this morning? Forgetting the phone number?
Drinking, yeah. It just didn't sound right in my head. 97. What? No. So it's 9773 is right.
Wow. Wow.
And I'm reading it and it didn't sound right. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
They said that it's a second thing to go.
Oh, jeez. TMI.
So what's up, Nick? You had
Not
an interesting week.
Yeah, I got in a little over my head, but
I don't know about that.
But sort of.
It may have felt like it.
Well, it was over my head technically. And hold on.
Oh, you forgot?
No.
Been drinking this morning?
No, it appears that
It
appears that Best Buy has gotten rid of their weekly sale flyer. They only have a deals section now on their website. Well, that sure sucks.
Interesting. Isn't this week some holiday? What is it?
It's Labor Day this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, so they may have had it in there earlier. I don't know.
Hopefully I can find this. If that's the case, it's gonna be hard to do, especially that sale flyer. Weird. The a guy I know that just purchased a new business, and instead of putting a big sign behind the reception area with a logo, he had the idea of mounting two large televisions and butting them up against each other, and he wanted a video loop to run stretched across both of them. So that's not that complicated of a task, at least I thought. The getting the video to run part was rather easy. I had that already sorted out, but mounting two TVs and making sure that they line up exactly so that when you push them together, they're right on the money was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. But it worked out, and he's happy, so I'm good to go.
So I never understood it. I mean, it's fine you're talking about the same thing that they do when they have huge billboards that are made of several screens. How do they? I mean, when you're using raw screens that don't have bezels and all that, it's fine because you can put them right next to each other. But here you're using off-the-shelf TVs that have a margin on the edge, right?
A small margin, but not a large
but
margin.
Still a margin.
Yes, a little margin.
And it's being watched from close, a lot closer than what you watch those big screens from. It didn't look funny to have that black line in between.
Everybody seems to really like it.
That's interesting.
These new t and this was not a, super high quality TV. This was one of those Hisense, which is, um, Walmart's maybe,
Yeah, it's fine. Absolutely. But
Walmart's brand, but that's what I'm saying. This wasn't like a $700 Samsung no bezel TV. I mean, these were probably sub $200,
Mhm.
um, TVs, and almost all even my little TV back behind me, I mean, look at the bezel on that thing. It's almost non-existent. It's a super tiny bezel on almost any TV you buy. So, um, that's
the
kind of the deal.
the only downside here that I can see is that one monitor goes and you can't buy the same TV again anywhere, so then you have to replace both of them, right?
I guess that'll be his problem to deal with, not mine, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
no, but, yeah, I saw the pictures of what you mounted and all that. It's nice, very nice.
I'm, I'm not 100% satisfied with the work. The TVs are about a 16th of an inch off, and it's not really noticeable, but to me it is, and it's kind of frustrating. So, if I want to, I can get back in there and get them perfect.
Is the way that they hang on that track,
Mhm. They've got
uh
little teeth on a bracket, that can be adjusted.
okay, so but you the little teeth on the bracket,
Mhm.
I'm talking about the teeth are biting into the wall, into
Well, they
you
bite
can
into the bracket, yeah.
yeah, you can just take, some, like, credit card,
Mhm.
cut a piece strip of it and slip it under those 2 teeth on each side, and it'll raise it.
Yeah, I probably could, or I could just take it off the wall and
Instead of
readjust.
unscrewing it and moving it up and all
Mhm.
that,
I don't
which
need to
is
move it up, I just need to unscrew it and probably just unscrew the mounts on the back of the TV and just loosen them, push them up a little bit. It's not, I
no,
don't think it's worth the
probably
amount of
not.
distance off. Nobody has said anything, so
No.
hopefully the TVs stay on the wall and we'll be good to go.
And now how do you stretch the picture between 2 of them? I mean, is this just a function of Windows?
Not well, I found this program called, let me find it, uh, called Pot Player, Potplayer, and it's kinda like VLC, but
Mhm.
I tried doing it with VLC and, oh my, I mean, it just took forever. It was a real pain and I couldn't get it to work properly, but this program called Pot Player, um, I you just there's a full screen stretch mode, and it'll stretch the video across however many monitors are attached to a computer. So I just set the playback to loop, put full screen stretch in it. Now, to be mindful, it does, of course, trim the video, because if you're stretching to
Yeah,
the resolution on that is going to be,
weird.
well, it's 16 by,
By
well,
9,
it's
it's
not
gonna be
16 by 9,
32.
it's 32 by 9.
Yeah.
So you're losing a lot of your horizontal video up and down.
Mhm.
Fortunately, in a video, a logo loop, the logo is just in the middle of the screen anyway. There's lots of white space, so it works out. Um, he does want a different video on there. I have to look at it first and make sure um, it'll fit with the aspect ratio. But as long as you leave enough um, white room above and below the most center part of the screen, I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of doing that, but it's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, solve the problem by putting 2 more underneath.
Yeah, I don't think there's quite enough space for that, but, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for the cost of labor, which wasn't too crazy, and the cost of the TVs, which I imagine were less than $200, it's probably a lot cheaper than getting a sign made, and it
Yeah,
looks a
but
lot better than a sign. It just stands out, it pops. TVs with
and you can
videos
change it.
moving pop. Yeah,
That's
exactly. So, for maybe with all everything, $600 or so, $700, maybe with everything included, all the cables and adapters and whatnot. Um, I
yeah,
mean, I
that's
thought
not
the result
bad
was
at all.
pretty good.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And it kept you busy for 2 days.
Well, I guess.
That's important.
Yeah.
Um, let's see what's going on here from last week. There was a story that I never got to mention. Users of credit monitoring site CreditKarma have took to Reddit and Twitter to complain that they were served other people's account information when they logged in. TechCrunch has confirmed several screenshots that show other people's accounts, including details about their credit card accounts and their current balance. When contacted, a Credit Karma spokesperson said these users experienced a technical malfunction that has now been fixed and that there is no evidence of data breach. The company didn't say for how long customers were experiencing issues. Uh, you know, that can you imagine somebody comes in and say, "Oh boy, I've got $40,000. Oh, that's what?"
Well, Credit Karma is not a bank. Credit
No,
Karma is a credit monitoring service. I
right.
actually use them. I don't really log, or I have it. I don't
Mm.
log into it, but
Well, they're talking about balances.
a bounce for
I
what, I
guess it's
wonder?
balance of how much you owe, maybe.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah. But it's interesting because they were selling themselves as the site that fixes everything, kind of.
They're owned by somebody big. Let me look, because I was reading about this. Uh, but then maybe they're not owned by somebody big, but maybe they
Yeah.
share, well, no, maybe not. I was thinking of one of these is owned by a big,
Conglomerate.
it was either owned or it was partnered with or something like that, but it looks like it's a private company. There's somebody big has got something to do with Credit Karma. I know that for a fact.
But
Don't
anyway,
remember
they
who though.
said that there's nothing to worry about. And I tend to agree. It's all they do is they monitor your stuff.
Yeah, but I wouldn't trust them to monitor my stuff anymore when they're serving my data to
Well,
other people.
when something like this happens, actually the company becomes more diligent on making sure everything is okay versus a company that nothing ever happened and they get kind of,
Lazy. Yeah,
yeah.
true.
So you have to be diligent and keep up with what you got. And if you see something weird, then uh you do something about it. But anyway, and another older story is owners of Microsoft Surface Pro 6 and Surface Book 2 systems are finding themselves stuck at Pentium 2 speeds, as numerous user complaints indicate that the ultra portable are throttling the processor down to 400 megahertz, a state that in some instances persists across reboots. While similar issues with Surface devices have occurred in the past, reports of issues have increased in frequency following a firmware update for the Surface Pro 6. The throttle lock appeared to be caused by an Intel CPU flag called BD Proc which is a bidirectional processor hot, which can be set by any peripheral, telling the processor to throttle down in order to decrease system temperature. A useful flag in case where the CPU is operating within thermal limits, but other components tied to the CPU are running too hot because of the demands placed on the components by processing on the CPU. So they did an update to Surface Pro 6 and something went astray. I didn't read anything that this was fixed, but when you buy an i7 and say that it's, like, stuck in Pentium 2 speeds, 400 megahertz, that's a big hit.
That's for sure.
So, if you do have one, let us know if this happened to you. And our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype.
I'm really perplexed. Best Buy has gotten rid of their weekly sale ad.
I just it's
I
kinda hard to believe. It's
it's
probably
just
there.
it's hard for me to believe too. It's not there.
Wow.
The regular page is normally deals.bestbuy.com. That's where their weekly sale ad is, and it's some weird page with, with, like, a couple things on it. That's it. It's very, very weird. I don't know what they've done. They've changed it up totally. Hmm, weird.
Um,
So, there you go. Let's see, what else? What else you got?
they have deal of the day.
Yeah, I'm telling you, their traditional sale flyers gone. There's a whole bunch of deals, but there's no indication of how long these last or anything like that.
Hmm, dang, look at that deal of the day.
Yeah, I've
50
got
in
that on my list.
phew.
Let's talk about that now. I'm not gonna I can't do specials if Best Buy doesn't have a sale flyer. That kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they do have a really good deal for an Insignia 50-inch Insignia 1080p TV for $180.
that's amazing.
It's a really good price. It's not a smart TV. Um,
Yeah,
so
but you can use it as a monitor.
well, you could use it as a monitor, but you could also add a Roku or something to it for a
Yeah,
couple bucks. So that's a pretty good price.
what kind of connectivity do they?
It's probably 2 or 3 HDMIs.
I need one with VGA.
Yeah, that's becoming well, yeah, but you can
I know
convert.
it's hard to. Yeah, you can get a an adapter. It is hard to find them these days.
Yeah, these new TVs didn't have a VGA. They had DisplayPort, actually, one of them did.
Mm, damn, crash, number of HDMI 3.
Yep, there you go. The VGA connector is too big.
Yeah, like they don't have room for 'em.
Well, they don't. I mean, they've got the IO so limited on those things. The VGA is
Yeah.
a big and it's a deep adapter too.
Oh, wait. Number of HDMI 3, number of USB 1, number
Yeah,
of digital up for 1, component 0, but number of composite video input, 1. Number of DVI 0. Composite? You
yeah,
mean RCA?
that's what it sounds like.
Very
Or they're considering an antenna composite, but probably not.
no, but then after that, it has RF antenna input. Yes,
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
interesting. Yeah, that is, very nice. Until USS Robert says, "Until supplies run out," and they have one.
Hey, uh, my local Best Buy opens at 10 AM, so get there quick. I'll post a link to it in chat.
Let's see.
That's pretty unfortunate. I mean,
Well,
maybe the era of the sale flyer is going away. Now, to
I
be honest,
kinda
Staples and Office Max's, sale flyers suck. I mean,
suck, yeah,
they're
but you
just not
have
Best
but you
Buy's the only one that has a
well,
decent sale flyer.
Walmart is good.
Yeah, but they don't really do a flyer. They just have their website,
Oh,
and it changes, and it's so hard
hmm,
to navigate through, so maybe it's just because of Labor Day, they'll have something next week.
or it could have come out yesterday or whatever, but it should be on their website. They have, weekly.
Well, they've got this weird thing called deals, and
uh,
there's
oh,
some categories, but I don't know if it doesn't say what it is.
yeah, top deals, deal of the day.
Yeah, and the deals has got a lot of stuff in there, but, there's no indication of what these are deals of or how long they're valid.
Oh, well.
So, it's kinda weird. So, that kind of blows.
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
let's see, what else we have here. This is interesting about phones. A new study released by Strategy Analytics reflects the current state of the smartphone industry. Apparently, consumers in the US, baby boomers in particular, are increasingly delaying their smartphone purchase for 3 or more years. In addition, the average iPhone now remains active for 18 months, while the average Samsung phone remains active for 16 and a half. The era of yearly phone upgrades is over. Smartphone shipments have been dropping around the world over the past year, and some analysts even believe the industry is bound to suffer its worst decline ever in the coming months. Strategy Analytics conducted an online survey with 2,500 smartphone owners aged 18 to 64-year-old in the US. Um, they're talking about baby boomers, and I know that I I don't ever remember, maybe the first couple of years uh we had new phones from what used to be 18 the Bell South Mobility, whatever it was. But ever since, I always buy phones, used phones on eBay that are like right now I'm using the Galaxy, what is it? Is it 3? 6? I don't know. I really don't know which one it is, but it's older. It works for us. I mean, I don't need the latest and greatest.
yeah, but describe what "us" is.
Kathy and me.
Yeah, but describe what you do with it.
Oh, I just use it as a phone. Every now and then I text. That's about it.
Yeah, I would make the argument that you don't need you don't even need a smartphone, frankly.
Well,
You could get away without having one.
I'm also, well, you need to have a phone with you.
No, but I said smartphone.
Yeah, we also use it as a GPS.
Okay, well, then there you go.
So yeah, yeah, and every now and then Kathy will take a picture or something. I mean, if I had to take a picture in a hurry on the phone, I wouldn't know how to do it. I don't. I just don't use it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I mean, you buy a new one. Uh, I wouldn't say often, but
Every couple of years, yeah.
yeah.
I live on mine.
And some people actually are replacing them once a year, which is kind of, I don't know, it's ridiculous, but it's good for me because I can buy used ones on.
Well, it depends on what you're buying. If you're buying older smartphones every year, you could be replacing them every year. Now, I mean, and some there are the new Apple thing is a phone forever plan that they've got out. That is every time there's a new phone comes out, you have a chance to upgrade, and there's some marginal cost with it. So it's called something for life, maybe. Um, so yeah, I mean,
uh,
I've stood by this. People always gripe and complain about the cost of a new smartphone. The
yeah.
cost is not that much. $1,100. You use this thing hours and hours and hours a day for
Mhm.
years, in my case, years.
Yeah.
If you're looking at cost per, or not, it's not, I'm not gonna call it a return on investment, but you look at the cost versus the use, an $1,100 smartphone over 3 years is a hell of a deal. If you break it down, you're talking about pennies a day. Not that I wanna spend
If
$1,200 on a smartphone, but the amount of use you get out of it and the amount of what it does, it just it I don't see it as an issue. It's really not. Do I like to spend that kind of money on a phone? No. But for what I use it for and how I use it, it's just a no-brainer.
Like you said, you live
It's
by
not
it
just me.
because you a lot yeah, a lot of other people do. I mean, that's
Most
their
people smartphones.
yeah, it's their portable computer.
Yeah.
Um, but that's not what the older population does. And
No.
apparently even the older population were upgrading once a year or more often. Now it takes 3 years and 4 years, and if it works, it's okay. I think it's good for the aftermarket when they sell the used ones. It does them good.
Yeah. I don't I'm trying to think. I think I have the 8 Plus, so over the
Yes.
next
So you're 1 behind.
no, I'm 2 behind.
Was there a 9? I thought they jumped
No,
over the 9.
there's not the 9, but
10.
there's the 10, and then there's the X.
Oh, I thought the 10 and the X were the same.
Well, they might be technically the same, but they're 2 different 2 different phones. The
Ok
10
oh, okay, I
was
see.
like
Oh,
the 10 was
I
the
thought it
upgrade.
was
They
I
released them at the same time, but the 10 was the upgrade from the 8, and the X was a whole new
okay.
ballpark. So at this point, I'm all you're right. It's 1 generation, but it's 2
Models.
2 models
Yeah.
behind.
Morning,
And then
gal.
I
Good morning. Sorry for joining late.
Uh-huh. I sure hope you have a note because if not, I'm gonna send you to the principal.
Mommy.
and as John says, 789, so there you go.
What?
789.
Who?
7.
I don't use
Read it in chat. You'll understand.
Suddenly sound like
oh.
an old Israeli skit. What seven?
Yeah,
7, 8, 9.
789, yeah. I thought it was pretty funny. Good joke, John. So yeah, well, actually, no. No, no, no. I'm wrong. I'm 2 generations behind. There's
With
the
if you're counting the 9.
no, no, because there's no 9.
Right.
There's the 10, then there was the X, now there's the XR and the XS. So,
Okay.
I don't freaking know.
Where is talking about Android.
So, but yeah, but here's I'm looking for because they do have that you talk about people upgrading every year, they do have that plan. It's like the Apple Forever or something like that.
Yeah, that's their insurance policy where they
No,
get
well,
you.
it's not their forever policy. It's not their insurance policy. It's a constant lease program, essentially. It's called
Well,
the
that's their insurance policy. They
what is
get you. They
well, of
get
course
you
they
by the
get you.
cojones.
So, it looks like so you get a new iPhone every year. It comes with Apple Care included, but it's $40 a month. But no, but stop. It's cheaper than buying if you were gonna truly upgrade every time a new phone came out, this would be far less. Now, you don't own the
It's
phone ever, but
yeah, it's $480 a year.
yeah, but just way cheaper than $1,200 a year.
Yeah, that covers 3 3 years if you bought a new one. Hell yeah, you may be
Now, I'm
right.
not saying that's a
That
good deal.
includes that includes Apple Care?
Yes, it does, Apple Cares. Yeah, because 'cause you're leasing the phone.
Sounds like a great deal.
Yeah, if you don't ever wanna own your which, I mean, if you don't ever wanna own your phone, it's a fine deal. I'm not a I mean, I would never do something like this personally, but,
Why? Hold on. What are the benefits? I'm trying to understand.
the benefits of what? I don't like the idea
No,
of
of owning it with a
because
deal like that.
I don't necessarily need the new phone, and I don't like paying out 50 or $60 a month to use a phone. I think it defeats the purpose. I
But
mean,
how
you
much do you pay
n
for your phone?
I pay upfront about it. I mean, it depends, $1,000 sometimes, so it depends what it 1,000,
I
1,100, 1,200.
I pay upfront on my phone.
Yeah.
But the reason is because I don't want to pay the amount I I uh, I I don't buy a flagship phone, right?
Yeah.
It's like the idea of buying a $1,000 phone really infuriates me. So I find a good phone for 400, $500, right? But the carrier usually don't sell those. So that's why I buy my phone.
Yeah, I mean, I buy mine new from Apple and, pay out of pocket for it and then use it for a couple years.
So
Where do you
That's
buy
why.
yours, Gal?
the last ones I bought were OnePlus, so I buy them directly from OnePlus.
Okay.
Um, I'm not saying I, if OnePlus would have told me I'll pay $300 a year and I'll get a new phone every time they issue it, I think I would have gone with it, especially because you say that $40 a month, $50 a month already include Apple Care, which is rather expensive from what I
Yeah,
understand.
now it depends on which phone you buy, what the monthly price is. It goes up if you're getting the higher end phone. So for the 64 gig X, it's $40 a month. If you want the 256 gig version, it's almost $60 a month. So it fluctuates based on the model of phone you're getting. Um,
Still, sounds like just the payment for Apple Care, where I would be about 20% of that.
yeah, I'm just
Now you're talking about just the price to have the phone. That's not including the
That's what I'm
plan.
trying to understand. If it includes the plan, it's like a steal.
it's
Yeah.
not a steal though. You're never owning it. So you're spending all
So
this money.
what?
But you're spending all this money for the phone, and then it's like leasing a car. You spend all
No,
this
no.
money
What
on your
but
lease, and then you
okay.
don't have anything.
But wait
Right.
a second.
It's all about depreciation, right? So even with the lease of a car. So if every year you pay, you said $60, so $720, right? If you hold the phone for 3 years that you bought for 1,200, right?
Mhm.
And now you need to pay every every year you need to pay 720, and that includes AppleCare. That includes they'll replace it if it breaks completely, right? What does it matter if you own the slab that you're using or not, right? The data is what's important, not the electronics. Now, if you tell me that every time you buy a cell phone, you also sell it and you make a profit on it, that's something different. But I doubt that's the case. Even if you sell it, you probably make what, 200, $300 on
Oh,
it?
well, yeah, the iPhones
Yeah.
hold a great value. I sold my last iPhone for 300 something dollars.
300. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
After using it for 2 or 3 years. 3 years, I think. I mean, I went from a 6 to an 8 and sold it for $300, and the phone was maybe 1,000 when I bought it. So for over the life of the phone, it cost me $700 to have it. It's a personal thing. I'm
Yeah,
not it's just a personal thing. I don't like the I
but but
I don't like the idea of spending $60 a month plus the cost of having the cell phone. You're talking about $100 a month for having a freaking phone.
right, that's what I was gonna say. If it was $60 a month, and that includes the cell plan, that is a steal. Or $40 a month
well,
and, wow, you pay
I'm
more
looking
than
for
that as
55
is.
bucks.
I mean, I'll look at trying to join it. I'm curious on what it breaks down to. Here, let's look at this. Let's get an iPhone XR. Start with the XR and see what happens. Well, actually, that's the cheaper one. Let's go with the XS because if I was buying a phone, that's what I'd buy. All right, we're gonna do this. Here, do this. Can I share my
Yeah,
screen on Apple
absolutely.
Amnon? Is that gonna cause
I
a
would
problem?
think so.
All right, let's see. Where is it? Okay, let's do this. The iPhone XS. So, do you have an iPhone to trade in? Let's say no. Let's say we're gonna start off fresh. And do we want the 5.8 or 6.5? We're gonna go with the 5.8-inch screen. I'm gonna go space gray, 64 gigs, AT&T, and let's do the Apple upgrade program. So this is how they get you. This is it. So you're actually paying for it for 24 months and you're getting a new one every year. So you're rolling in 2 phone payments all the time. You're paying for 2 phones at a time with only having one of them in pocket. That's the way that works. So you get 0 interest for 24 months. So you're spending, let's look at this. You're spending 40 $49.91 for
50.
24 months. So you're spending it's the exact, so you're spending $50 a month for 2 years, and you're only having the phone for 12 of those months because you're getting a new one every year. So you're constantly, so your payment is essentially doubled. Your $50 payment is a $100 payment constantly.
So you could have bought a new phone every year.
Every year, and it would be the exact, of
And
course. I mean, nobody's getting taken to the, and you don't own it. So you're spending all this money and you never own the phone.
and how long is the warranty on it?
Apple Care Plus included as your monthly payment.
No, no,
it's
no.
so for 24 months.
I'm
So
talking about if you buy a new iPhone.
I think it's maybe a year by default, but it
Okay.
doesn't cover everything.
Oh,
Yeah, Apple Care Plus coverage. Switch back to Nick.
here.
Hold the
Yeah.
So
So I mean,
Apple Care Plus coverage options sold separately. So when you pay in full, right?
when you pay in full, which is what I do.
So what you're saying is you need to pay $200 more, right? 197.84, 198.84 bucks more, and you get the Apple Care. Now, what lies? I think what's really missing in this description is what is the upgrade to a new iPhone every year? What lies within? Do you need to pay again?
Yeah, well, you restart your 24, you get a new 24-month installment plan. So every 12 months, they give you the option to start a new installment plan. So you're
Right.
constantly paying for 2 phones and you have 1.
Well,
Every 12 months, you are getting a new 24-month contract. So you are paying for a phone that you do not have. It
right,
makes
but
absolutely no sense.
hold on. It means that after a year, right? After a year, you paid for half a phone,
Yep.
right? And now you're getting a new phone, and you're just saying, I'm going to continue to pay for the next 2 years, right? Sounds to me like you're selling your phone for half a price, for half the price you bought it a year after. Doesn't sound like a bad deal to me.
It sounds like a terrible deal to me.
Yeah. Why?
Because you're spending $150 a month on your for your phone.
But you're doing that anyway. That's what I'm saying. I'm
But you're
saying
not.
money wise. Why the prices
This
they
phone's
pretty much
$1,000.
even
The
out,
phone's $1,000 outright. It's not a
right?
hundred. And so now I agree. If you're buying one every year, this is a decent plan. But if you're not, like most people, then makes absolutely no sense because you have to. You have to
That's
get a new
another
phone every year.
question completely. That
No,
depends if you're
Because that's the problem with this is you have to get a new phone every year. There's no way to stop this. Once you're in this plan, you're rolled in.
the fact that you are giving up, right, some freedom. That is of no question. I'm not questioning that part. I'm just questioning the math, and it sounds like the math is
You're spending
pretty.
you're spending $200 more for Apple Care Plus, but you're paying on a monthly basis. That's all.
God, I gotta
Right.
agree with Nick. That doesn't sound like a a great deal when you look at it like
I mean,
this.
you could finance it through Apple you could finance it through your cell phone carrier for probably the same price, if not less.
And you see all those deals about, you buy an iPhone from us and you get the second one free.
That's
Uh,
that's something completely different,
no,
right?
no, I'm just
When
saying.
you're
I'm
Yeah, but
just
when you're looking at it as a single person, looking at those prices,
yeah.
especially, I mean, for an iPhone, hey, you know me, I wouldn't pay $1 for it. But it's like the prices, the math seems to add up. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Just Apple Care. Look, the iPhones are very fragile, right? Just the Apple Care, which ensures you that you'll get the phone fixed if it breaks, right? Like physically breaks. Just that is worth the gap in the price match, and you're getting a guarantee that you can get a new phone after a year.
I guess it's a personal. It's more of a finance thing than it is a good deal or a bad deal. That's all.
Just number wise, the numbers are working, but yeah, you don't own the phone.
Yeah, that's so there's the difference that you're not factoring into your cost.
By the way, you do own the phone, because if you choose not to upgrade, you paid pretty much the same thing. You got Apple
I
Care
don't
and
think
you're not
that's
returning the phone.
I don't think that's an option though. Most of these upgrade plans do not allow you to not upgrade.
Yeah, I'll
That's
bet you.
the whole point of them.
I'll bet you they want the old phone back after a
Absolutely.
year, so they can
After
resell
12
it.
you
Yeah.
replace them. When you replace them, what happens if you do not upgrade?
I'm sure
It's
there's
still
some sort of
24. It's still 24 payments. Once you're done with it, it's yours.
what? Yeah, well, yes, but then you're not even then there's no point of being in the upgrade plan. You can just do a regular $1,000 payment finance plan and it's cheaper.
Yeah, $1,000. Add Apple Care Plus to it. Apple Care costs a lot of money.
I mean, I've never purchased Apple Care on a phone. I mean,
right? Check that. I'm thinking that's the gap, and that's what's not sweet about the deal. The
I
Apple
wouldn't
Care
call
Plus.
it sweet. Apple Care Plus
Does
on an
Square
iPhone.
Trade cover iPhone?
Yeah, they do.
Well,
but I wouldn't buy it through Square.
No,
Trade.
I'm just saying, it's probably a lot cheaper.
Well, yeah, but the reason you buy Apple Care, of course, they can't even show a freaking price on the website. I have no idea how much it costs.
$50.
What?
For $50, Apple Care Plus extends the 1-year warranty to 2. The Apple Watch Edition series, that's for Apple Watch. Macworld has
$50 a year.
129.
$129.
Yeah, for iPhone. So you double the Apple Care, but that also covers you for 2 years, right? Right, that was 187, and this is 129 for a single
197.
Gal, don't take it personally, but you sound to me like somebody who's doing okay. Which cup is the shell under?
Right? No. The prices are not that different. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying from a I don't know what kind of standpoint. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever to pay. Again, this is a personal thing. I'm not saying people are wrong. I don't like the idea of paying 24 months for a phone that I'm using for 12. That just logically doesn't make any sense to me. That's all.
All I'm saying, right?
I'm not saying it's a bad deal. I'm not saying anybody's getting screwed, but you're paying for a phone that you don't have.
First of all, that's not true. You're paying for a phone, and the only phone that you have in your hand is yours for the time being, right?
Yes.
And if you do not upgrade,
then it defeats the point of the plan.
Yeah, but so let's say you decide that you're not upgrading because you don't want to go into another 2 years stretch, right? You still own the phone.
Yeah, but then you can just use Apple's iPhone payment plan. It's the same cost. That's what I'm saying, and it's the exact same cost.
Oh, I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
I'm arguing if you're planning on upgrading, that's probably the best route anyway. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, if you were planning on getting a new phone every year, I would agree that this is the least hassle way of dealing with a new phone every 12 months. Totally agree.
Right.
So
now you go into another discussion. Should you upgrade every year? That's another discussion.
Well, yeah. I don't think
you should also look into if you start today and you are actually signing a 2-year contract.
Definitely.
And after a year, you upgrade, and then they make you sign another contract for another 2 years. That means that at the end of the 2 years, original 2 years, you cannot cancel because you signed up for another 2 years.
Yeah, you're always extending it.
I know. Now, I'm not saying that's the way it is. I'm saying
that's exactly how it is.
I'm saying you need to look into it. So they preventing you from deciding, okay, I want to stop that.
Oh, they're locking you in. Don't.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the morals or the whether
Gal, the story was, and maybe you didn't hear it, was that that in the U.S. and around the world, looks like people are delaying buying a new phone, and the trend is up for 3 years. They
Yeah,
don't the
that's the
days of
stat.
a phone new phone every year is gone, and
That
they
was never
say,
the case. 3 years was always the average.
well, I mean, the story now is that that's what it
Since Nokia, that was the average. It's like since way back. Yeah.
Now, let's switch now and go to Android, and that's an interesting thing. It says the next version of the Android operating system will not be named after a dessert or sweet treat, ending a tradition that started in 2009. Following the pattern, the name of the new version would have started with Q, but Google said it had ditched the naming scheme because it made it difficult for consumers to know which version of the OS was the latest. The new edition, which will be released later this year, will be called Android 10. Previous version of the mobile operating system have been nicknamed Jelly Bean, Kit Kat, Lollipop, all these things. So now they're going to go for a numeral thing. Now, when I go
It was
into
always
my
a numeral.
huh?
It was always
Yeah.
numeral, but there wasn't a code name. Yeah.
So, but when I go to my phone, it says, I think, Android 6 or Android 7 or something like that. It doesn't say any Kit Kat or whatever. I know I saw these names around, but yeah, if I ask you, what version? Don't look at it. What version do you have on your phone, Gal?
9, but I don't know what the code name. I
Yeah,
never followed the
that's
code name.
right. That's the problem that they had names, which is what? What version do you have? Oh, I have Lollipop. No, I mean
Nobody
the
said
phone. Oh, yeah,
no.
Lollipop.
This was only used in Android forums and stuff like that, but it was never outside of the developer and hacker sphere of Android. Nobody uses those
Right.
code names.
So I don't
Yeah.
know why they make a big deal about it that now they're gonna stop this
They
uh
couldn't find a good lollipop or a good candy with Q, that
with
starts with
Q.
Q or something.
Only took 10 years to figure out that
Uh,
was a stupid naming structure.
oh,
No, it's not. It's not a stupid naming structure. It's really common in actually in the open source world. It's
It
really
is.
common to use
I,
some sort of naming scheme, right?
yes, but it was always very confusing.
it to me it makes a lot more sense to use numerals and forget about the names. That's why we have 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and when you're ready, it's 2.
Well, they
That,
did that too, but it was always masked
yeah.
in another name.
So what else is happening, Gal?
Nothing much.
No news this week?
No, not on the tech front, at least not for me. I mean,
No? Interesting. What was it yesterday that Nick, we talked about? And I said, that's a question for Gal.
Uh,
What was it? I should have wrote it down. Mm. Oh, no, that was the other day when we were thinking about how to disconnect, sort of like disconnect and get onto a Windows machine, Windows 7 that was on Active Directory
oh,
attached to a domain.
yeah, but we figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out, but I never done anything with a domain or Active Directory, and I didn't know that this is going to work. But yeah, Nick just used the password reset program, and that took care of it.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, I still am not using the domain. I'm
Right,
logging into the
right,
computer
yeah,
locally.
yeah. But before that, you couldn't do that either
Well, because
because you didn't.
the administrator account
Yeah.
that's a local account was disabled, yeah.
So if Gal, so if you have a computer that a network
mhm.
to a server and it's Active Directory and it's attached to a domain. If you want to take that computer out, they
Yeah.
they surplus it and you take it home. and you
Right.
want to use it. Is there anything special that you have to do to it that will allow you to use it as a workstation that your own Windows, like your own machine,
No, all you need to do is make sure you have a local user, a user that does not authenticate with the domain, and
right?
then you can just detach it from the domain.
Okay, so it doesn't have stuff in there that you should do away with or delete or reconfigure.
Software-wise, no. On the workstation, on the laptop, on the desktop, no.
Okay.
Um, Everything is managed under the Active Directory side. Active Directory is exactly how it sounds. It's a directory. It's like a huge registry, right? So, and the OS knows how to deal with that, and um,
What's the benefits of having it? I mean, what's
central
the
management.
oh,
And you can
That's the
log
whole idea. Central management.
and with the
Uh,
domain, you can log in from any computer, ideally on the network, and get all access to your files and things like that.
well,
right.
I can do it on my home network.
Not
Yes, but
really.
there's a lot of automation that goes into it. First of all, you want centralized authentication. Okay, so
Okay, yeah,
authentication
that's
scheme authentication schemes like Kerberos. You know what Kerberos is?
yeah.
So authentication scheme like Kerberos, they can work only with something central managing that. So that's one aspect. Then there's the aspect of distributed domain controllers. So the domain controller is the entity that you authenticate with, and you get your network configuration from. Uh, and if there's more than one, then Active Directory knows how to synchronize between themselves.
Mhm.
So your workstation will contact the one that is most available at a certain time, but you are talking with the directory. It doesn't matter that you're talking with one of the domain controllers, you're still talking with the directory as a concept. So you have reliability like that, you have increased performance of a central management. And of course, Active Directory ties to all of the central services, network services that Microsoft supplies, right? You manage DNS via Active Directory, and that DNS can be distributed between all the DCs, and the configuration will be synchronized.
Okay.
And on top of all of that, you have group policy,
But
which
you have
is
I mean, group policy is not unique to Active Directory.
no, no. So every Windows PC, which is not a home edition, even home editions actually have some sort of policy, but you don't have access to them via the regular tools. But every Windows machine uh, has something called security policy. Group policy means in a centralized way, you can control these security policies and prevent them being changed locally. So you have complete control over the network and all of its nodes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know because Nick was asking and I couldn't help.
Yeah, I work with Active Directory pretty much.
That's what I
Our,
said. That's a
yeah.
question for Gal. All right. So let's go on. Spotify last week extended the free trial period for its premium service from 1 month to 3, tripling the amount of time listeners can take full advantage of the streaming giant offerings without paying for them. Um, I never
They
go ahead.
they did it to say this month, last week.
Last week. Yeah,
Yeah, it
because
sounds like I don't know if it'll last, but it sounds like if somebody just started by Christmas, they're gonna need to buy it, and that's a good excuse of telling someone buy me the subscription.
well, I do you have a subscription?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
and I
I never
and I love
subs.
every minute.
Okay,
Me
now
too.
Now, can you download songs?
Yes.
Download, yeah, not DRM free. So you can download them for a local storage and
Yeah.
you can work without the internet. But once you lose your subscription, you lose access to what you downloaded. It's not like buying.
Wait a second now. So you lose access to them or they get deleted?
Both.
Well, I don't know. It's local storage. It's storage that's
So
preserved for the application. You don't have any way of interacting with it outside of the application. So it doesn't really matter.
so you don't have an MP3 sitting somewhere on your
No, no, those are encrypted files.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
but Spotify is a streaming service, right? It's
Yeah,
not a buy
right.
your own music service.
Right. No, I understand.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if, you know, here it comes. There's a service that where you download, uh, like, the music that we play and the intro and stuff. I can't remember what the and then there's some that for photos, stock photos,
Yeah.
and you can get a certain length of time of, uh, trial,
Right.
and they tell you right up front, anything you download during that trial, you can continue to use even if you don't subscribe.
Ah, okay.
What if
Yeah,
you
that's
stop
fine.
paying for Netflix?
But you can't download. No,
Yes, you
not
can.
Netflix. I'm talking about Spotify.
I'm saying, what if you stop paying for
Oh,
Netflix?
yeah, but you don't download stuff from
You absolutely can.
On mobile devices, they allow you to have content offline. So
Oh,
it's download, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can store it. So
okay.
what's it, 3 or 4 files you can or shows or movies you can store offline, I think, something like that.
Interesting.
Well, they have some limitations. They
Yeah.
they enforce. Not only that, if the phone didn't connect for a week or something to Netflix,
Mhm.
then the offline content becomes stale and you can't play it. So the client, the mobile client needs to reach out to the main server every couple of days to refresh the licenses.
Because they figure, I guess, that you are downloading it in order to because you're
Yeah,
traveling or something, or you
exactly,
wanna watch it right then and then.
exactly.
Interesting. Hmm.
But then you have the free alternatives, right? So where you manage your own library and you're in charge of getting your content, stuff like Plex, where you run your own server at
Mhm.
home, your own private Netflix, let's call it, and that has synchronization options as well. So it's like it's not for the big guys and the DRM based only. This synchronization concept starts to become more and more popular. I mean, it started with simple things like it seems simple at least, right? Right, the browser. You want your browser whenever you logged into your user to work the same way because
Right.
you got used to it when you started using Gmail. Everywhere you access Gmail was exactly the same way, right? No longer need a thick or a thin client installed on every machine you're going to access because everything has some sort of web access. So the applications they start to be just a window into the application world. So when you install Spotify on your computer, uh, there's nothing really stored locally that makes it unique for this computer than any other computer you install it and log in with your user. It's the user login that makes it unique. And storage has become just this offline option, right? It's not, especially with subscription-based content, it's not that important what format it is or whatever, as long as it's the application knows how to manage it.
Mhm.
Now, when you're talking about buying, oh yeah, always look for an option that is DRM free.
You
Okay.
mentioned Plex. You have to have there is a cost associated with Plex if you wanna use some of all the mobile functionality, right?
Yeah, they call it Plex Pass,
Mhm.
and It's either subscription based, or you buy something that's called a lifetime subscription, which costs like a year and a half of subscription or something
Yeah,
like that.
$120.
$120 now.
Yeah.
I think I paid for mine 150. So
Really? Wow.
yeah, they play with the pricing every time. If they have stabilized on 120, then that's a sweet deal, and I would still recommend it to anyone. And I do know that if you ever bought a subscription, right, like for a month to test it or something, and then stop paying, then at least from the experience of people, you get a notification about 6 or 7 months in saying, "Hey, for I don't know, $80, buy a lifetime subscription." So they get you like that as well.
I was thinking about purchasing it. I'm traveling to Seattle, uh, next week, and I was thinking about purchasing it. Now, I've got a question for you, Gal. With Plex Pass, does that allow me to download things from anybody's Plex, or is it just from my local Plex server?
So the pass is associated with your user.
Okay.
Okay. So the moment your user is a Plex Pass user, you should be able to synchronize content from other servers. What I don't know is whether only Plex Pass servers. I'm trying to think if I have any access to a non-Plex Pass server. I think all of my friends are Plex Pass as
Oh,
well.
I'm not
So,
Plex Pass. I can add you to mine and see if you can download something.
so I can see if I can synchronize from you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll invite you.
Yeah. We can test that.
Yeah, because I guess that would be problematic, right? If you have Plex Pass, but and the way that Plex works is you can share your libraries with other people. That's one of the big added benefits of Plex, and with that, you get some obviously some added benefits of being able to do that. So, but if they limit you based on how or who is actually who's
Yeah.
actually Plex Pass, that would be kind of weird.
So while I'm Plex Pass, right, I know that users who do not have Plex Pass and are not part of my, so there's two types of users. There's a home user and there's a friend, shared user, right, that can access my content. And the home users, none of them needs to have individually Plex Pass
Okay.
because they're part of the home, at least on my server.
Yes, which
If
you
they'll,
can do.
yeah. So if they'll access another server, that's another issue. But with my server, they're covered by the Plex Pass that I have.
So I just
For the
shared my library with you. I'd be curious to see what happens with that.
let's see.
Yeah, so the way that the Plex Pass works is you can essentially buy a family plan for all intents and purposes. What you can do that with Plex Pass.
Right.
You can add local users to what is called your home, which is your instance of Plex.
Okay. So I go into the shows on Nick Craig. Let's get one of the shows
My big library of shows.
and let's mark it for no, I don't have a sync option
Hmm.
on your shows.
Probably because I don't have Plex Pass.
Yeah. So you need Plex Pass on your server to allow synchronization.
Well, how do you get it? Do
And
you have
that
to pay?
makes sense.
Do you have to pay for it on your server and for the user, or is it one and the same?
No, it's so you're paying for your server belongs to your user.
Mhm.
Because your user isn't a Plex Pass user, then your server isn't a Plex Pass server.
Got
Okay. Uh, yeah.
Interesting. Maybe I'll try this for a month.
Yeah. I mean, $5 is $5. It's okay.
Yeah.
The nice thing is that if you don't ever plan on running a server, right, but you do watch from a friend's server, you can always just activate the mobile platform. In this case, it'll be Android. In my case, in your case, it'll be iPhone, iOS. And once you activate the mobile platform, right, you don't need to pay anything. It's not a subscription. It's a one-time payment and you got the platform activated.
Well, maybe I should just do that then.
Huh.
Yeah, but still, your server won't let you sync. You could sync from other FlexPass servers.
Well, I don't really have anything on my server.
Okay, so yeah, so that might solve your problem. It's
Yeah,
like
I remember that. It's like $15 or something like that one time.
no, I think 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 5 per platform. So
Gotcha.
if you have iOS and Android, it's 5 each, right? But that's it.
Mhm.
But it's not per device; it's per platform.
Yeah.
I think their pricing scheme is more than fair.
Oh, yes,
Uh,
very much so.
yeah, and
Which makes sense. Let's think about it. If it wasn't fair, nobody would buy it, and they wouldn't be making any money. I mean, it's so
Right.
funny when you see these free people are almost always willing to, and God, maybe you're different, but if something is free and they offer marginally a marginally priced add-on, addition, added feature, whatever, I am almost 100% more willing to do that than to pay that same marginal price for a paid for service. I think that's just human nature.
um, I mean, freemium in general, right, is a rather successful model, but it is based on the idea that about 10% will pay the price, and the rest will work for free. So when you buy a premium, when you buy an added value, yeah, definitely. Uh, and that's why ad free between against paid ad sorry ad based versus paid ad free has some success. But and that's the funniest thing with ad based application, especially on mobile. When an app becomes popular, the ad based application brings a lot more money than the paid one, because only about 10% will pay. And when you have a boom of ad-based revenue with when you start to count 10,000, 100,000 users uh, using it, then the ad revenue becomes a lot more
Mhm.
substantial than the very small crowd who decided to not get ads. So yeah, it's an interesting market.
Yeah, they're any way you look at it, they're building a name recognition.
Yeah.
More and more people know about Plex, and if the day comes and they want to do something, say, "Well, I remember hearing about that." So I would never know about Plex if Gal didn't mention it.
Yeah, that's true. And I can tell you that there is a lot of unrest in the Plex community, Reddits and stuff like that, because the crowds are growing and a lot of people are using Plex primarily with pirated content,
Mhm.
right? And when you do that, so that there's the real enthusiasts for quality and content. You see people talking about a server with I don't know, like over 3,000 movies, with every one of them being ripped from a Blu-ray, 4K, ultra high definition, 80 gigabyte size files, and Plex uh, is able to, and they keep it in the 80 gigabyte plus file size, as well as the 5 and 2 compressed to 180p, so their friends and family can watch the same content. So you're getting into this. You start with this concept of, okay, I want all of the media I have ever bought. I want it in one place and easy to access from anywhere for me. And then you expand to, hey, let's share it with friends. And moment you start with the let's share it with friends, right? You're entering the gray to black area of what the law sees in you. the moment you take the side of MPAA, right? The Movie Production Association, and then there's the entire idea of, hey, why should I even grab it from my disk over here if I can download it faster, right? And so pirated content goes into it, and
Mm.
then you go to, hey, I don't have that movie, but it's in the same place where I'm downloading the movie I own, right? So let's grab that. I want a larger. I'm starting to share with people, so I want a larger library, and so you go into the pirated area. This is how the scene looks today, and there are more and more and more Plex servers, and there's a lot of automation around the Plex server ecosystem uh, that allows you to pirate really, really easy and automated. And so the reality is, the more Plex will grab attention, the bigger target it's going to be.
Mhm.
So that's something to be concerned about, that it won't be misused completely. But then again, we're also the community is also hoping that Plex will be strong enough to sustain anything that will come their way once it gets to some sort of legal recourse. I guess they're trying to preserve the equilibrium of common sense and greed, right? Making sure that nothing goes too much in one direction.
Now, fortunately, there are other services that are very similar to Plex if something were to happen. I think the closest, and the one I've played with a little bit, is Emby, EMBY.
Right.
So, God forbid something was to happen to Plex and some crackdown happened and they changed all their, if they, like, for example, if they got rid of server sharing, that would kind of defeat a big purpose of what Plex does. Fortunately, there are people making other smaller alternatives to Plex that can things people may jump to.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
the fact that
But
Kodi still exists, I mean, Kodi almost exclusively is a piracy platform. I mean, yes, there is some stuff on there is
mm,
some it is a media player, but the amount of piracy, channels, add-ons that you can install right from the Kodi store is insane.
no, you can't. From the Kodi store, you can't do anything that is illegal.
Mm, are you sure about that?
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Mm.
Kodi is Kodi has a more legitimate stance than even Plex has.
You think so?
I'm 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 absolutely sure.
Hmm,
The add-ons for Kodi,
yes.
yeah, completely separate. Any add-on that isn't on uh, the main store, right, has completely a different issue, a different story. But uh, Kodi itself, it's just, and it's probably the best media player if you're looking for something with what they call a 10-feet interface, right? So with a full screen interface to control with the remote and stuff like that, that's hands down the best media player out there. It's better than anything built into to the Apple TV, to Android OSs, to Amazon, hands down. So if you get your own content on it, fantastic. Um, by the way, one of the best Plex players is an add-on for Kodi. Plex has maintains an official add-on, so it's from the official store. You don't need to add a different repository. From the main repository for Kodi, there's a Plex application, a Plex player. What it does when you enter it, it takes over Kodi, but for Plex, as the ability that it gives it, once it's playing a video, you have the benefit of having the Kodi player doing the playing, so you can do things like audio drifting, synchronization, and immediately online download of subtitles, stuff that the other Plex players have are slowly catching up, but it's still the best player. Alan says that the Plex for Kodi is slow. It's slow. It is more resource intensive than the regular native player, but on the modern platform, it's less inherent. It works just as well.
Interesting.
Okay.
I haven't used Kodi in a while.
What did you use it for, Nick?
Back when Amazon first came out with their Fire stick,
Yeah.
Kodi, I put Kodi on that, and I really don't remember all I remember is that the amount of add-ons that you could put on there that were pirated content was incredible. Live TV. Now, I mean, as Gal said, that stuff's not available in the store, but it's very simple to add.
Yeah.
You literally just put a repository in there and you're good to go. That's what I remember. The big thing with Kodi is that there was hundreds and
There was
hundreds.
I mean, there were a lot of stories about how
Yeah.
everybody was trying to stop them. I mean, authorities.
So
Because of
luckily, they're not after Kodi anymore as the project, but you talked about the repositories. Those repositories are getting harder and harder to find. They new ones spring up again and again, but the moment one is becoming substantial, get substantial attention, then it's gone after. So probably a cease and desist or whatever, or even just if they host a repository in GitHub, so they probably contact GitHub and ask them to remove that and whatever. So the Kodi platform is here and it's probably here to stay. The piracy around it is going to probably remain, but it's going to be an uphill battle all the while. One interesting thing I find is none of the legitimate services have embraced Kodi, at least not in the US, and that I find is really a shame.
Why?
Seeing an official add-on, because Kodi is a fantastic platform.
No, I mean, why aren't they embracing it?
That's what I don't know. I'm guessing Kodi is, after all, a bunch of engineers, right? Passionate about their own content. And there's probably very little lawmakers or marketers part of that organization, right? Because when an official channel would want to embrace something like Kodi and create a Kodi add-on, there's a lot of branding issues that goes into it. There's a lot of aspects that goes into it, and I'm guessing that other than Plex, who they did it because Plex started as an open source project based on Kodi. So it's like a legacy thing, the fact that you can play Plex through Kodi. Um, Other than Plex, it's like there's no real pull towards that. And the fact that Kodi has been identified in the past couple of years with piracy so
right.
much,
That's the
right,
problem.
makes it another hurdle to pass now. So if we had it before, maybe, but now it's probably next to impossible.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Must have had a late night.
No, I don't feel so hot.
Uh-oh. AC?
Take a step outside.
Yeah,
Yep, that's it.
We have AC. We have that. Yeah.
No need to. Well, yesterday, I went outside about 8 o'clock. I had to come back and consider putting on a long sleeve something. It was
Why?
actually chilly.
Oh, it was hotter than hell down here yesterday. Jeez.
I'm talking about in the morning, like 8 o'clock.
I was out at
So,
8:30 yesterday morning. It was hotter than hell down here.
oh,
Well, exactly. You weren't all out in the weather there, Nick. You were inside a room working.
Yeah, and tell you
That
what,
makes it different.
the air conditioning in that room does not hold up, is not quite enough tons of air conditioning to keep the room, so it was very warm in that room.
Well, actually, yesterday I wasn't as chilly inside my house as I was outside either. I have you ever had that happen?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I come inside and it feels good even though the AC's running. So you wait until the humidity goes down and then open windows.
It rained in the afternoon and it got all the
Yep.
humidity went away.
It
Then it was nice.
finally rained here. Finally. So what's going on, Mike?
I have no idea. I don't know why you'd ask me. I'm just sitting here
Well,
listening.
you just showed up, so I'm asking if you have anything. Okay, never mind. Be
I
like
have
that.
nothing.
You know what I bought yesterday? Not really computer related.
What'd you buy?
I bought a what?
New car.
Yeah, a bunch of new cars. I bought a Dremel yesterday. One of
Hmm.
those nice, Dremel 3000s.
For a computer?
No, but I mean, it could be used for, I could modify a computer case with it if I wanted
Yep.
to.
Never, ever, under any circumstances, use one for cutting metal unless you're wearing eye protection.
Why? Because it will spark?
Just spark nothing. It'll
It'll
shoot a piece
break.
of metal straight into
Yeah.
your eye, and it will happen instantly.
Yep.
Mm,
Under no circumstances ever use one. I wouldn't even do wood without it.
mm. It does recommend safety glasses.
Well, I mean, a lot of these safety warnings are stupid, but that one's not.
Hmm. Good tip. This one came with a little screen too, the little shroud that you put on it.
It won't
It
work.
doesn't work because
Mm.
it'll ricochet from somewhere else.
Probably. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, you use power
I mean, I would
tools,
use it anyway, so
then you put safety glasses on.
there you go.
So
That's
back
like
in
yeah,
May
I hit a
oh,
nail the wrong way with a hammer when I was in the 3rd grade. It ricocheted up, hit my eye, and I was in the hospital for a week. If we had waited one day to treat it, I wouldn't have any vision in my left eye.
Hmm.
yeah, it's no fun.
Did you sue the hammer?
I did.
They banned hammers for
I was
2
gonna say
years.
they banned hammers because it almost killed
Yep.
Mike.
So back in May, Google announced it was phasing out its work with Nest program in favor of a works with Google Assistant framework, frustrating many users as it will break IFTTT tie-ins. Thankfully, IFTTT has some good news for concerned users. Their applets designed for the Nest thermostat, Nest Protect, and Nest Cam will continue to work after August 31st when Google plans on shutting down the Works with Nest program. That comes from Engadget. That is nice. But there is some bad news. And you need to pay attention to this. IFTTT's applets won't work at all if users move their Nest accounts to Google account. I mean, I don't use Nest, so I don't know exactly what they mean, but that seems to be very important. Do not move it to a Google account. This is fine for now, obviously, but in the future, it means users could miss out on new features only available through a Google account. Google has said it's working on a system that will allow IFTTT users to migrate, but whether the company will integrate the comprehensive features that made IFTTT so popular in the first place is another question entirely. Um, I use IFTTT, but not for stuff like this. I only use it to jog my memory and to as the notification. Hey, I have a doctor's appointment at a certain day or time. I put the give me a call. Uh, I give I I have it set up to notify me before a show during the week when I have to do a show. So IFTTT is nice, but it does a whole lot more than what I use it for. And if you don't know about it, go look. It's ifttt.com. Yeah. and it's all point and click apps that will do all kind of things
But Amnon, this just describes what we've been talking about more and more.
about the phone.
These devices are gonna all of these devices are gonna stop working.
Yeah.
And what are you
Oh,
gonna
by the
do?
way, device stopped working.
What?
The hook
Yeah, did you ever find a solution?
started working again
Mm.
last week. I mean, I was still looking for something, and I just happened, used to it. I said,
Oh, they brought their
Alexa,
website back up.
and bam, it worked. And I said, what in the world? So
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
works back, but
web.gethook.io is back up.
yeah. Um,
Weird.
but yes, I mean, we depend on these gadgets, the Google Assistant, the Amazon Alexa, and others. It's once something stops working or updates, they don't have to make those scripts that you use compatible
Yeah,
because they
I don't think you'll have to worry about the bigger devices like the Echoes and the Google Assistants and stuff like that, but it's those smaller, maybe not so name brand light switches or light bulbs or
well, Nest was not
toaster
that
ovens.
little.
What?
Nest is a big name.
Oh, they're owned by Google, and
So
Google's the one shuttering them.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's you and people have to worry about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, obviously the smaller ones like the Hook, I mean, they can just shut store down and it's
That's what
gone.
they
And
did. I'm trying to look and see what happened. You should log into their web panel and see if there's
eh,
any notes in there. I'd be curious.
I wouldn't worry about it as long as it works.
I guess.
919-518-9773. Computers took a voice on Skype. So we always want to have what Mike has. Gigabit. So listen to this article. Americans are spending ever more for blazing internet speeds on the promise that faster is better. Is that really the case? For most people, the answer is no. The Wall Street Journal studied the internet use of 53 of our journalists across the country over a period of months in coordination with researchers at Princeton and the University of Chicago. Our panelists used only a fraction of their available bandwidth to watch streaming services, including Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and YouTube, even simultaneously. Quality didn't improve much with higher speeds. Picture clarity was about the same. Videos didn't launch quicker. Broadband providers such as Comcast, Charter, and AT&T are marketing speeds in the range of 250, 500, or 1 gigabit, often promising that streaming video bingers will benefit. Fast speeds for all of your shows, declares one online ad from Comcast. But for a typical household, the benefits of paying for more than 100 megabits a second are marginal at best, according to the researchers. That means many households are paying a premium for services they don't need. Now,
I've been saying
one
that
thing,
for years.
the what?
I've been saying that for years. I use only 100 megabits.
Well, one thing here is true that if you get the faster speed, you can binge as much as you want. And I know that with gigabit, there is no cap. I don't know what Comcast's cap is, but AT&T, if anything less than a gigabit, it's a terabyte. And if you have two kids at home and they watch a lot of videos, I mean, you can hit it. So you can't say that you can binge as much as you want. But no caps is more important than the speed. You're right. And again, it is something that, like, just like you're saying, God, uh, higher speed, yeah, you can download stuff faster. You can download files faster, but for streaming,
Well, even
I don't
that, I
know.
say that is incorrect. You cannot download files faster because the servers will not serve you
Okay.
faster most of the time.
Okay, now that's the thing is back a few years, quite a few years. The faster you had, the speedier. I mean, you can do Windows updates, it will take half an hour to download. Now
Right.
it's a lot faster. So yes, there is a point of where no, you can't go any, and besides, there are bottlenecks along the way. And if you are connecting to that server through a provider that doesn't have that it's
Right.
gonna adjust to that speed. So you're right, and I don't know what that is. Maybe that the 100 megabits is the because that's fast Ethernet, and everybody has fast Ethernet. So maybe that's why.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with that, but it's usually a matter of whether you're connecting directly or through a CDN, right? If you have a CDN, a content distribution network,
Mhm.
like the big guys have behind them, then you'll get the faster downloads. Even if you are on a 1 gigabyte line, right? Then you'll probably get that. My guess is most of the time the bottleneck would be the router, right? Or a switch within your network rather than outside.
True.
But even in those cases, right? Uh, it really depends whether the server you're working with has a CDN behind it. Now, Netflix, YouTube, Microsoft, they have CDNs behind them. When you're going to download from them, you're going to be able to binge and be quick about it and everything. Um, the moment you want to do it with your own personal server or for business, forget about it. It doesn't it won't matter. So that's why I'm saying now. Look, I'm definitely a nerd with passion about media streaming, right?
Right.
And I stream from home, so when I'm on a trip or I'm in my off, at work, right? I can still access my content back home. And I'm telling you, and we have like tons uh, um, of uh, of services, right? Of Internet of Things. My house is littered with them. There's a lot of Wi-Fi devices around, and I can tell you, 100 megabytes is enough. As long as it's not capped, I agree on that, but it's enough. And there's one I'm using Google Fiber. Google Fiber, they sell a gigabyte. It'll cost me $20 to go from the tier I'm paying now for 100 to 1 gigabyte. They keep sending me physical mail about it. Hey, why not upgrade? Why not go faster? It's because I don't need it. I do not. I've never had a bandwidth issue from the moment I had 100, and I had 100 before that with. There were still Time Warner Cable then, right? So it's like, why should I upgrade just because I can get faster? I don't need that. You need a good router and 100 megabyte line, and you're set. Even with 4K viewing.
Right. No, no, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mike, do you see any difference from the days of Time Warner Spectrum to the speed with 300 to the gigabit that you have these days?
The fastest I ever had with Time Warner, I believe, was 10 down, 10 up, maybe. What? How much would
No,
it
you
be,
were
Nick?
faster.
No, no. I never had it. I know I never had anything over 20 down. I think
Up,
the fastest I ever
20,
had was about
20
20
up.
down and about 5 up.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the Time Warner plans are pitiful still. I think the fastest you can get now is 20 up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but you can get 100, but I have 200 by 20.
Right. But
Yeah.
20, I mean, I do Tom Joyner's radio show for him, so I have to log into his computer and upload his audio file. For a short period of time, he was on AT&T fiber. They couldn't keep it working. They couldn't keep his phone working. He told them to come get it. He went back to Spectrum, and when he did, then it literally takes 5 times longer to upload his show to sendfile.com than it did before. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, there's a dramatic difference. But as far as enough, I mean, Bill Gates said that 640K RAM on a computer is all you would ever need. So I'm assuming he still runs all of the computers at Microsoft on 640K. As far as how much that's all you need, I was reading just yesterday, on an email list of radio engineers where these guys who are very, very smart technically. I mean, there's some really smart guys in there technically. There's some real stupid guys in there in life, but in technical part, they're geniuses. And they were very clear that 20 meg down was all anybody needed. Anything beyond that, you don't need it. Now, in my house, I don't have to think about bandwidth because even though we have one, two, three, four TVs going at one time, all of them on IP, plus anybody I may be downloading something, we never have bandwidth issues. Now, as far as you don't need 1 gigabit, I guess it depends on what you do. I would have to say that. What's the fastest speed limit in the United States? 70?
What do you mean in the United States?
Huh?
What do you mean in the United States?
Well, we have the United States, and inside that, the boundary
Yeah.
of the United States, what's the fastest speed limit that's available? I know that
Okay.
we go to 70. Do we have 75 anywhere?
Yeah, I think I've been on a Virginia road with 75.
All right, so let's just say 75 is the
Yeah.
fastest. Why should any car sold in the United States be capable of going faster than 75 miles an hour?
Oh,
That's fast. You don't need to drive faster than that. Oh, wait a minute. Police cars would need to do it. Emergency vehicles would need to do it. Um, I don't know. I mean, this thing about deciding what anybody else needs just kind of falls flat with me.
hmm.
I mean,
I'm looking at
I
myself
know people
as
who'll
a
tell you
heavy
that
user.
making $50,000 a year, that's all the money you need. You don't need any more than that. I mean, who am I to say how much
Gal,
money
you
you
were
need?
you were saying about
No, I understand what you're saying, and there are definitely uses for 1 gigabyte line. But when I'm looking at heavy usage as a home user, for using it for everything from gaming to, as long I'm personal use, common personal use, I don't see the benefit of having a 1 gigabyte line. And I agree with what the article says of anybody who buys that for their home, and they're probably underutilizing it. That's the thing, right? It's not like they don't need it because they don't need it. Is they buy it, but most people don't make any use of it.
Right.
Now, the analogy for the car, while you're right, most cars can go over the speed limit, right? It's not like you can get a car that just reaches the speed limit and you pay less for it. So
Oh, I
that's
don't know.
that's
If
the
you didn't have
difference.
to, I disagree. If you didn't have to have an engine big enough to make you such that you can drive 120 miles an hour, that it only needs to go 75, you could reduce the size of the engine, the cost of the engine. I disagree with you.
but they
No,
don't make it.
you're right, but we don't have that. It's not like I have the
That's
option today when
because
I go to buy the car.
it's stupid to put that limit on it. Now I'll give you another example, and one that I think is exactly analogous. I have a 200 amp electrical service on my house. If I were to constantly use 200 amps from that service, I would be bankrupt in about 2 weeks because the power bill would be out the roof.
Yeah.
I would generally say that we use less than 100 amps at peak time, I'm guessing. But how do I know what the surges are whenever the motor starts on the refrigerator, the washing machine, the HVAC unit? Do I need a 150 amp surge? I don't know. But with a 200 amp service, I don't have to worry about it. I just don't understand this ridiculous argument that you're paying for more than you need. Again, what's next year look like? Do you have incidental uses? I mean, I can sit here and after the show, after we're done, Nick would in our after show get together that people don't get to see and hear. All of a sudden, Nick's video goes to crap. Why? Because he's uploading something. Have, I don't do that anymore. Back before I got a fiber service, my video I would have to restart and reboot. This is before you came around, and I would have to reboot because I would have bandwidth issues. Somebody would get up, and I'd have to go downstairs during specials and tell my kids, "Hey, don't download anything on the internet. I'm on a show right now." I don't do that anymore. So that's worth $20 extra a month to me not to worry about it.
Yeah,
No,
some
no, I agree that it's worth it, right? What I'm
Well,
saying
you
is,
must not. You're not paying it.
no, what I'm saying is, right? When I moved to 100, that's what I got. That's exactly the experience. I had the option, take the 100 or take the gigabyte, right? I never needed the gigabyte. And I can't say, this system, this environment I have set up at home, it is being used all the time, right? If I'm not using it, then somebody, then my family from outside home is watching something on my server. It is being used all the time,
and 100 is enough.
and 100 is more than enough.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying. That's the comparison I'm doing.
If you don't give it 100, I'm all for buying 100, but I just don't understand why people waste time writing articles, tell me what average people need. I mean, who cares?
well,
Um, Let me ask
no,
you a question.
it,
How many rooms do you have in your house, and how many of those rooms do you live in? And why do you have the rooms that you don't live in? Do you have a guest bedroom?
Yeah, one.
Well, do you ever use it?
Yeah,
How often?
very rarely, but I use it. That's why
Well,
I bought a
you
house with it.
how much money could you save if you'd bought a house without that extra room?
Of
That's
course,
for
but I'm saying, why buy a? I'll never gonna buy a house with two guest rooms, even if there would be a rare occasion where it would be useful. But one guest room is enough. I'm saying the one guest room is 100 megabytes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I thought I would never buy a house with a guest room. Now my house has 3
I,
guest rooms, but that's
I
another
don't
matter.
think we are comparing apples to apples here.
Well, I know you
Yeah.
do. I know
It's
whenever the argument's not
this
going
is
your way, that's
something
usually
that you can this is something that you can uh adjust for your usage. I mean, you bought a house, that's it. You're stuck with that house. You're not going to go and say, well, you know what? We didn't use the guest room in 2 years. Let's buy a smaller house. You're not going to do that
Why?
because people don't do that.
They do. They downsize all the time,
Nah,
am not?
not all the
Yeah,
time. At a
but it's
certain point.
a huge
Yeah.
move. It's not like you
It,
do it every year.
right. You call Spectrum and you say, hey, lower my speed. I don't need that. Or you call, yeah. Um, and yeah, I agree. There are some situations where it's very important to have higher speed for certain people that do a lot of stuff and they want to have, like Mike, you couldn't do it on 100 megabits and 10 megabits up. There was other things involved there because here is Gal with all his usage and IoTs around the house, and his video is okay. Why? We don't know. It can be latency, it can be the speed, it can be where it's peering with the network. I don't know, but the point is here that they didn't say 500 or they said that 100 is more than enough for your average home that have, average home I would call parents and kids, two kids. Now, yeah, if you have uh 12 kids and they all have their own phone and they all play games online and stream them
4K.
and watch, yeah, absolutely. You're going to need more bandwidth. I would say more bandwidth.
So
But
here's what's going to happen.
yeah,
People like Gall who have identified that 100 is enough and you ought not to buy more than you need if you don't want it. If you've got the technical expertise like Gall has to be able to decide what that number is,
yeah,
you should be free to buy what you want and don't want.
absolutely.
Now, having said that, mark my words, bookmark this comment, that if people start moving to 100 instead of gigabit, before long, the price of 100 will be the same as the price of a gigabit, and they'll then increase the price on the gigabit.
Okay, that is the economics of doing it or not. That's not
Correct.
whether you need it or not. That may be correct. Absolutely. I'm still surprised that uh, everybody that's cutting the cord and those providers are losing subscribers to TV, and they know that those subscribers are using the internet to download and watch it somewhere else, that they're not raising the prices. But they're not.
All right. Gene didn't like my example of the house. He said there are too many other considerations like location, resale
Yeah,
value. Of
that's true
course,
too.
that's true.
Yeah,
Absolutely true.
yeah.
But all right, Gene, try this one. How about you put a gauge on your water heater? Figure out how much hot water you use on an average day. If you are using 30 gallons in a cycle, you have a 50-gallon water heater. Why don't you take out that 50-gallon water heater, go with a 30, which will be cheaper to operate, cheaper to maintain, and you'll be able to save some money because you only need 30 gallons per session.
Yeah, but
How's that?
how much is it going to cost you to replace that?
Well, what difference does it
No,
make? I mean, there's a
come
payback.
on. It's going to cost you upwards of 1,000 or more to replace with the labor and
Uh,
buying the new
okay.
tank.
Wait until it's time to replace it, and then the
Oh,
incremental cost is 0. In fact, you'll save money putting in a 30 instead of a 50.
yeah. Yeah, if you wait, true.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's okay. We're talking economics here.
Yeah. But you
And it'd be
couldn't.
cheaper to operate. You won't have all that water to keep hot. I mean, what about when we need 50? Well, you don't need 50.
Oh, you may need 50. Then
No,
what do
you
you do?
won't. No, you won't. Not if your average is only 30, why would you ever need 50?
Because mom-in-law moved in.
Yeah, well, that's different though.
No,
And
it's
that's
not
kind of
different.
like
You see that, Mike,
visitors coming over and burning up your internet, and
Mike,
all of a sudden
but this is
you're
the
upload.
but this
We
is
can't
the
talk at the same
but
time.
this is the nice thing about internet. You can call them and say, "Hey, I need 500 now." And in 2 months, oh, lowered again. The two friends that stayed with us moved away. And you can do that.
Get them on the phone. What do you mean you call them and tell them to lower it?
But
Stand in line for an hour and stay on hold, and then I'll hang up.
I mean, look,
All
I
right, I'm
was
done.
now on by the same token, I called Verizon. We have 4 gigabits. That's it. And that's divided between the 3 of us, Kathy, Hannah, and me.
You're talking about a cat.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
it. You have so it was a pain to say, "Hey, guys, watch it." And yeah, you do get the reports. I mean, you okay, or you reaching there? No. So I called Verizon and I just asked them a simple question. That, how long does it take you to release the phone numbers to another carrier? And she said, "Oh, we'll do it right away." But why, Mr. Nissan? So I told her. I said, we normally don't use 4 gig, but the fact that if we do, it's going to cost more. I don't want this because other providers are providing you with unlimited. And she said, "Well, we have new plans that do unlimited." I said, "Yeah, but they cost more." She said, "No, we have new plans as of last week that we actually match the price wise of other companies. How much do you pay now?" I said, $40 a line for 3 lines. She said, I mean, with the new one, how much you pay now? I said, $40, and now I'm paying 40. It's the same thing. I don't want to pay $20 more. And she said, "Oh, our plan, if you do it direct deposit or direct billing, whatever, automatic billing, will be the same price." I said, "No, I need to get a bill and enter it into QuickBooks and write a check and send it out." Well, that will be $10 more, and all those other plans that you're looking for, like AT&T or T-Mobile, they also want you to do that type of billing. I said, "Oh." She said, "Let's see what we can do for you." So I said, "All I want you to do for me is give us more gigabits even though you can see that we're not moving it, just so I know that I don't have to go and say, hey guys, watch it. They watch it and watch it. She looked and she said, okay, I can give you 4 more gigabytes for the year. And I'll even go farther than that. I'll take $10 off 2 lines for a year. So I ended up paying less per month and getting that extra cushion of another 4. And yeah, Hannah may be using the most. And now I can tell her, I said, okay, we have that much more. You can use it. That is, but again, if we had 100 gig, there's no way that will be used that I can see. But it's nice to know that you have a little cushioning. And here, it's, again, not the speed. And not only that, I found out that there's what they call safety net, that if you use all of your gigabytes, then your account, your data will throttle back to 3G for as long as you want to use it. You're not going to pay more. You actually, the speed will go down. 3G is not shabby anyway. If you're going to do something, who knows what, you may want the 4G. We lived with 2G for years. So you do get them. Now, Mike, did I have to wait on the phone? Yeah, probably about 10 minutes. But I was working at the same time. And when I call Spectrum, it's the same story. So, you wait and you're working and you put it on the speaker, and when they answer, you answer. But you can scale it back and forth, which you cannot do with the water heater, you cannot do with the house, you can then do with the car. If people, they have more kids, they're going to buy a van. And then they use the van and they sell it when the kids are out. We're talking, and it's not, you're not doing it every 3 weeks. Here you can do it every month. Do adjust for whatever you need. So it's, I see a situation. And look, here, I'm now on 300. I don't know that I'm using the whole thing. With everything that goes around in the house, every time I do a speed test, the speed is there. Maybe it'll go down from 300 to 250 to 200. But that's still, I am considering downgrading my speed with the Spectrum to 100 or to 200, whatever. I think their entry now is 200. Why pay more for the 300? There's no reason. And every time I call and they said, oh, you're on Time Warner, you're grandfathered. But if you want to have a break, then you have to go with Spectrum, and that will be only 200. At this point, that's the way to go. I don't know. But for each his own, and there are ways that you can cut down and not worry about it, especially with just streaming, which most of us using the internet these days for that. I mean, email and stuff, that's minuscule. It's nothing. Surfing the web, again, that's not using much. We used to do it on 33 or 50, what was it, 56K, which was running at about 40 some. Yeah. Anyway.
I used to run a BBS on
yeah,
9,600 baud.
Yeah, 9,600, 2,400.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's whatever. But to go from that speed to a higher speed was a big jump. I mean, you could see it. But with if the whole world would upgrade and have their links are at a gigabit all over, then I would say that, you can download faster any way you look at it, because nobody has anything less than gigabit. Then it's fine. It's just like here. I upgraded all the switches in the house to a gigabit because I wanted to have the speed.
Right.
Can I upload faster? No, it's whatever the other side is allowing me to upload it. So it's yeah. Anyway, it's that time of day. I hogged the mic long enough. So anything else we want to talk about, mention? Nobody? Mike? Nick? God? Nothing?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, Mike, Nick, Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Tonight at 9, Mike Phillips hosts the Crypto Culture Show on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7 FM, and you can listen to it on TuneIn. The link is under the links on the left in the nav bar. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.